Welcome to Central Georgia Focus. I am your host today, Frederick Price. You know, Macon has a lot to sing about, whether you're talking about its rich music history, the crowd, drawing events like the 43rd Annual International Cherry Blossom Festival, the city's diverse cultural scene, or its beautiful southern architectural charm. Macon is an uncovered jewel that continues shining every single day. So today we talk about all things that are drawing visitors to the city. Our guest, Gary Wheat, the president and CEO of Visit Macon, the visitor center located in downtown. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
It's my pleasure, Frederick.
So, I mean, you're kind of a well-known guy around the city, but kind of tell us about yourself and Visit Macon too.
Well, absolutely. Well, I've been here going on 8 years now, and it's one of those situations, a good friend, Disto Moore, likes to say, Macon chose me.
Yeah.
And that's the way I look at it, the opportunity to move back to the South from out West and be a part of an organization like Visit Macon. It's been in operation over 40 years and really just, it's kind of unknown. A lot of people don't know what we do locally because we're so outward facing. Mm-hmm. And our role is to help Visit Macon, our hotels, our restaurants, our attractions. In Macon-Bibb County, hotel, motel tax funds 11 entities, including
Wow.
ours. So our job is to bring those people to those hotels, support those workers, those staff, and really just kind of become the ambassadors and storytellers for Macon.
And it's more or less a welcoming center for people that come and visit the city. I imagine you all see a lot of people. Kind of tell us about that and how you're able to keep track of all of these people you see every year.
Absolutely. For us, there's lots of different ways that we kind of track. And our visitor center located on Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, we welcome people, and especially this time of year with the
Yes.
cherry blossoms in full bloom. We're welcoming visitors. But for us, it's through the door, but also we use a lot of analytics. The industry has really come a long way in my 26 years of doing this to where we can track those numbers, track those visitors coming into our destination, our attractions, our restaurants, our hotels. So for us, it's using those analytics to know where to market, what events attract the most, things of that nature.
I imagine your memory is probably better than mine, but do you have an idea of the number of people perhaps last year or 2023?
Sure. For last year, let's just say Cherry Blossom.
Okay.
For Cherry Blossom last year, we saw over 100,000 visits during the 10 days of the Cherry Blossom, and that generated, we deal in economic impact a lot and run those numbers through a calculator that's the industry standard. And Cherry Blossom generated a little over $6 million in economic impact for our community. And for us, we kind of call that direct spend. That's people in the hotels, that's people in the restaurants. Now, Macon as a whole, we work with some outside agencies to be able to track that number. And with 3 interstates rolling through Macon and the visitation, we see north of around 5 million visitors a year.
Wow.
that make a stop in Macon-Bibb County, which just adds to that overall economic development, that economic impact for our community.
I mean, if you think about it, logistically, Macon is just growing and it continues growing. But when you look at the numbers and you're like, oh my goodness, 5 million people came to Macon, the city with so much rich history.
Right.
What goes through your mind when you see that? I know it must be, you know, a sense of pride.
It really is. It's a sense of pride. It's also a sense of satisfaction because we know that we're doing our job. We know that we're helping our community. For us at Visit Macon, we consider ourselves part of the economic development picture for our county. And what do I mean by that? Well, our philosophy is if you create a place people want to visit, then you create a place people want to move to,
Right.
Open a business, raise a family, and it's just kind of a cyclical pattern that we're able to track. And so we're that first date for economic development, somebody looking to move their industry, their business. When I was coming up, I went out and looked for a job, and then I moved to that place where the job was. Nowadays, a lot of people will move to a really cool and quality of life community and then look for their career, look for their work. And for us, we take great pride in promoting and being ambassadors to tell that Macon story.
Something else the entire city really takes pride in is the Cherry Blossom Festival. One of the biggest in the nation, so-called the pinkest party in the country. Kind of talk about how you all prepare for that.
Absolutely. For us, you know, the festival itself attracts so many people, thousands and thousands of people. But what we work with a lot of times are the people coming to see the blossoms. You know, hundreds of thousands of trees, and being able to kind of see those people come in. We do tours out of our place. We welcome bus groups each year that come in to see the trail, the Cherry Blossom Trail, or go to the festival. We're involved with some other events this year. We're doing you would call a Gamers or Comic-Con convention that first weekend, is coming up this weekend. Then we're also bringing in the Intercollegiate Boxing Championships for the second weekend, the largest boxing event for collegiate athletes across the country. And so that'll be here, as well as with the county investing in the softball fields. We have a youth softball tournament coming in that weekend. So a lot of people are going to be in town for the festival, and as you said, the pinkest party on earth. And we'll have close to 20 travel writers and influencers in town covering, and a lot of that information that they'll gather this year will end up in publications nationally and internationally over the next year.
That's incredible. I mean, so many people here in Macon. Of course, they're coming to see, the cherry blossoms, but what are some of the other popular attractions this year? You just named, it's like an amalgamation of things that are happening.
Well, for us, it's about promoting our attractions, and you mentioned it in your lead-in that we're very much a music destination, and we add to that each and every day in telling that story of things of Capricorn Records and the hit records that are starting to come back out of there again, and that's an attraction in itself. This week we saw the opening of the Otis Redding Center for the Arts, which is an attraction, as well as the Tubman Museum, the Georgia Sports Hall of Fame, Museum of Arts and Sciences, and even some of our attractions and venues like the Douglas Theater or the Macon Auditorium. I mean, you could go down a list, and I love for people to say, what is there to do in Macon? Because I can sit there and name a lot of things for visitors to do.
Yeah, we'd be talking all day about
That's right, that's right.
And of course, that generates a lot of revenue for the city.
Correct.
Let's take a look back to 2024. If you have an idea of the figures, kind of tell us about the figures and what that process has been like to make sure that, people support what's in the city.
Right. Explore Georgia, which is the state tourism office, sends out figures each year for each county. And for us, our most up-to-date figures show that tourism supports 4,800 jobs in Macon-Bibb County. So that's our neighbors, our friends, our family, and visitors will spend over $400 million a year in our county, which translates to about $13 million in local taxes. That's hotel motel tax, that's sales tax. So 13 million is a pretty good number to share. You really can't shake a stick at that, because it really does contribute to the bottom line. And that equation bears out that it saves each homeowner about $600 a year in property taxes. But we took that number a little bit further, and we said, if we decided we didn't want tourists, we didn't want visitors in our community, we took all that expenditure away, what would that mean? What would we have to do to keep up with the standard of living in Macon-Bibb County? It would cost us about $8,000 a year to make up for what visitors spend in our community. So we always kind of tongue-in-cheek say, hug a tourist, and I think it helps people put it in perspective and appreciate visitors to our community.
Hug a tourist, make them feel welcome, right? And a lot of that, I imagine, has an impact on jobs too here locally. Can you talk about that?
Sure. As I kind of mentioned, the tourism sector or hospitality sector in our community supports about 4,800 jobs annually. And that also has a trickle-down effect. Again, we work very closely with our economic development partners, and whether that's helping them with a site visit that could lead to a potential manufacturing facility or a corporate headquarters. So we work very closely with our partners. It's Industrial Authority, Newtown, Chamber of Commerce, Urban Development Authority. So we all work hand in hand to make sure that Macon-Bibb, everybody's moving in the right direction, and thus helping our citizens and helping our neighbors.
Okay, so local impact here with jobs, but also the movie scene too. March 17th, 21st, Georgia Film Week. Talk about that and really just those opportunities for the city.
Sure, probably about 6.5 years ago, the Macon Film Commission was a volunteer organization, and they approached us and said, hey, would y'all mind taking over operations for filmmaking? And we did that, and Aaron Buzzo on our team does a wonderful job of working with film. And for us, it's been very successful. We've had some wonderful productions in town. Some we can talk about, some we can't talk about. But for us, that means production crews coming in. They stay in the hotels, they eat in the restaurants, they work buy from hardware stores. Perfect example that I like to share is during COVID. In the heart of COVID, the Go Big Show came to town, and they rented out our Coliseum, our Marriott Hotel, our convention center, and they kind of created their own COVID bubble and tested regularly. But they also had to have food, had to have catering, but they also reached out to local dry cleaners because they ran dry cleaning service through that, because those folks were quarantined there filming this production, and it resulted in about 12,000 hotel room nights for us. And I think that went a long way in helping us kind of survive the pandemic when, for the first time in my career, we saw travel turn off.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it certainly is economically remarkable. We're going to continue our conversation about the local impacts here at Macon. First, we need to take a break. Once people get to Macon for an event like the Cherry Blossom Festival, they can discover much more. When we return, we'll talk about what the Visit Macon website has to offer, including how to book a bus tour. We're back in a moment. Welcome back to Central Georgia Focus. We are continuing our conversation with Gary Wheat, the president and CEO of Visit Macon. Again, so glad to have you. So we previously were talking about the impact that the film industry that has had here in Georgia, but I also want to talk about the music industry too. I understand Visit Macon's website theme, Where Soul Lives. I think we have a video of it. We're going to pop that up if we can. But kind of tell us the reason behind this. There it is.
Sure. For us, it goes a little bit beyond music. You know, obviously we consider ourselves a music destination, but when we came up with the brand Where Soul Lives, it very much embodies what we think of our community. And our community has a lot of soul, whether that is the music heritage, whether it is the new live music scene or Capricorn Records, but it's also the people, it's the food, it's the culture, it's the architecture. That's one of the things that drew me to Macon was the history and the architecture of our community. And I think that's what embodies and really embraces that word soul when we say Where Soul Lives. So for us, we kind of push that brand out and become the standard bearers for Where Soul Lives.
You know, it's a really unique theme, but how did you come together collectively, getting everybody involved in this to really display the soul of this city?
Well, I think it starts with partnerships, and for us, that was a very easy thing to do because so many people love their community here, and so many of our partners love this community, and they see what's happening, and they see the growth, and they see the drive and the passion, and the development that's going on. And so for us, that was very easy to kind of bring those folks together, get them around the table, and give everybody a voice. It was very important for us to hear what people that might have lived here their whole life, people that work in the hotels, work in the restaurants and the attractions. What do they hear from visitors? Because it's very important to understand what is a visitor looking for. And one of the things that statistically, historically, that our industry shares with us is the number one thing a visitor will remember about any trip to anywhere is their interaction with the local citizens.
Yes.
So that's what we try to do, is create those ambassadors amongst ourselves. We have a program called I Am Macon. It's a free program that anybody can go through, where we just kind of give you that 2-minute elevator speech so that we're all kind of singing from the same hymnal when we meet a visitor or we help a visitor. And I encourage people to show their soul when they're downtown, especially during events like Cherry Blossom. And you come across someone that might be lost, or trying to navigate a parking meter. Stop in, help them out, welcome them to our community. You happen to be at the grocery store and see a tag from out of state. Welcome those folks. Make them feel appreciated in this community. This is a place that, hey, I would like to come back to.
Yeah. I mean, and it certainly does make a difference to have everyone on one accord and just naturally make it. It's just a kind and welcoming place. Anyway.
That's right.
But it goes beyond just a theme, though. There are so many musical artists with a lot of soul that the city can really boast about. I remember telling my family when I was moving to this area, they said, Otis Redding, immediately. It's like, who is that?
Right.
You know, but just being here, so many kind people like yourself and others have told me about that. But talk about some of those musical artists that embody soul that have come from this area?
Absolutely. Well, you know, you kind of touched on it a little bit with Otis Redding and what his family has really meant to our community and to our county, and what they've done to not only showcase his talents, but teach and foster the next generation of talent through their kids programs and to their education. And I think that was huge for Otis to be able to give back to his community. He was such a great businessman, and to be able to do some of the things he did in his career. Little Richard was somebody that always bragged about being from Macon, Georgia. And, you know, he's the architect of rock and roll. You know, Otis is the king of soul. This is the birthplace of Southern rock and that movement with the Allman Brothers. And, you know, to go on and on of the people that have come out of Macon. Jason Aldean currently on the charts. And, you know, we're now creating that next generation. We're building that bridge, if you will, because we have Capricorn Records back up and operating, producing hit records like Eddie Ninevolt and Brent Cobb and Marcus King, and some great artists that are now coming out of Capricorn Records that creates that next legacy.
And how do you guys make sure that you are of course, honoring the legends and the greats by also appropriately displaying their message? Because I think it's remarkable that we're able to keep their legacy alive for generations to come.
Well, they meant so much to the music industry, but also to our county, and what they were able to do to carry that flag, so to speak, and to represent Macon, Georgia. And some of them have named albums after Macon, Georgia. You know, Little Richard, every time he was interviewed, he talked about being from Macon, Georgia. And Otis Redding, just what his family has been able to do over the generations here to build on that legacy. But it's also giving motivation and inspiration to the next generation of artists. And for us, we try to help build that bridge, whether that's sponsoring local musicians at a pop-up soul spot during First Fridays, or helping sponsor a group at a venue at the Douglas Theater that's performing. We have a video series called Making Music, and being able to showcase artists and venues and history on that platform has gone a long way and really helped us, again, bridge generational gaps between our legends and the next wave of talent.
And it certainly has helped the tourism industry in the city too. I'm curious about bus tours though, because that's something that's notable, is that, you know, Macon does do bus tours. Tell us about, you know, where that idea came about and how people can get involved in that too.
Absolutely. Well, for us, you know, we do offer what we call, we have a music tour. We have our Soul Sites tour, which are van tours that we do every week. We run every week, 4 days a week, 5 days a week. And so people can go on our website and gain access and book a ticket online to take one of our tours. We also recently acquired Rock Candy Tours. So we have been starting to do those music tours that people love. Free Birds and Night Owls is a popular walking tour that kind of showcases that music history. But also, especially during times like this, we bring in buses from outside. Operators will purchase through us and bring their bus groups in. And so we have step-on guides that will jump on the bus and kind of escort them around Macon to showcase some of the attractions and things that are historical or relevant to our community. So there's something for everybody. That's what we like to say.
Yeah, I mean, and it's pretty evident when you step in the city, there certainly is something for everyone. We're going to continue our conversation. We're back in just a moment. There are a lot of events happening in Macon. We'll take a look at some of them next. Welcome back, everybody. We're talking with Gary Wheat of Visit Macon. So we talk about the impact of tourism. Obviously, film, music has a huge impact. But the historical sites around here, the Muskogee Creek Nation, and there are also hopes for the National Park designation for the Okmulgee Mounds. Looking forward to the future, just really talk about the tourism impact.
Well, I think it's going to be significant, Frederick, because with the becoming America's newest national park, Georgia's first national park, we've already done test runs on bringing visitors, marketing to visitors at other national parks, and seeing those conversions. The studies tell us that we'll go from an average attendance of 200,000 people a year to north of 1.3 million in 10 years. And that's significant impact, an additional $200 million coming into our community. So it's very important from that aspect of tourism, but also the cultural significance of that and the partnership with the Muskogee Creek Nation, as you mentioned, to be able to bring them back in a co-management position with the national park and them to return to their homelands. And for us, that relationship just continues to grow from the Mayor Miller and the county raising their flag over City Hall to just recently we worked through a private donation to create the street signs downtown that feature not only the English version of the street name but also the Muskogee Creek version of that. So adding things like that to make them feel welcome, to make them feel a return to their homeland, the significance of that. So it goes beyond tourism, but for us, it's going to be a significant tourism increase, which in turn, creates the need for infrastructure improvements, new hotels, campgrounds, things like that that support that national park visitor.
And I have seen those street signs now. They look really, really nice. Visit Macon, primarily for visitors, but oftentimes I imagine there are people who are natives of Macon that come. Do you find that sometimes people, don't even realize all of the rich history that's literally right under their nose?
Well, that's not specific to Macon, Georgia, because just, in my career, sometimes, we live it, we breathe it each day. We get a little too close to it sometimes. And, we need our eyes to open, and that's why we encourage people to be a visitor in their own town, to do that staycation, if you will. And for us, it's about the education, and we try to do that. And we do have people that come in, or they're coming down to pick up a souvenir, an item, or they have family members, and we encourage people to bring their family down to see us. And they walk in our visitor center and go, I had no idea. Or they'll watch our video and say, oh my gosh, I didn't realize Macon had that. So even from my seat, sometimes I have to go out and explore a little bit, because I have to remind myself about what makes us so special. And I think a lot of people do. And we work with local groups. They'll do meetings at our facility, or they'll come take our tour, things like that really help with that education process. Macon
undoubtedly is a special place. So we want to tell people, how can they get in contact with Visit Macon?
Well, we've got an award-winning website at visitmacon.org. We encourage people to go there, and that'll give you all the details of when we're open, the visitor center, what time tours go off, how much they are. It also has a wonderful calendar of events in partnership with Macon 365 that people can kind of go and see what's coming up down the pike.
And we want to bring attention to what we have on the screen here. We just had it. We had some contact information there. But Gary, I really appreciate our conversation, and just, there's so much rich history. Any final thoughts that you'd have that you'd like people to know? Perhaps some upcoming events too?
Sure. Well, for us, as we move into and past Cherry Blossom, next week we're going to take a run at the Guinness World Record for the largest kazoo ensemble. A lot of people don't know that the kazoo originated in Macon, Georgia. A freedman, Alabama Vest, went to a local watchmaker with his idea, and they presented the kazoo at the Georgia State Fair in 1852.
How about that?
So next Friday, which is March 28th, at the amphitheater from 4 to 6, we're going to attempt to break the largest kazoo ensemble, bring it home from England, where it belongs here in Macon, Georgia.
Well, wishing you all the best. Gary, thank you so much for teaching me all about the rich history here in Macon. And thank you for joining us. We're back next time. We'll see you then.